This is J. Krishnamurti's first public discussion at Brockwood Park, 1971.
What shall we talk over together?
Difference between analysis and not psychoanalysis, but analysis and the examination of immediate responses, and why, in spite of such examination or analysis, responses continue.
Difference between analysis and immediate examination of one's reactions.
And why, in spite of such examination or analysis, the responses continue.
Why, in spite of such examinations, the responses continue.
So, can I was deeply insufficient, deeply insecure, incapable, and violent, deeply. Can I change, really? And what is the essential state of mind? And I'm full of fear, always, afraid of not achieving, of not succeeding, of nothing. And what is the essential state of mind, if I can change?
The question is, can I change my fears, my continuous anxiety, uncertainty? And is it possible to change for me radically?
So, to give full attention to what is, it's very clear to me that I need abundant energy. How am I to have this energy if I'm expected to do a boring, repetitive, dull, routine job?
How am I to have the energy that requires for a deep change if I have to do a repetitive job every day of the week?
In treatment of mental illness, of neurosis and illness, they now either use analysis or drugs. What treatment would you advocate for somebody who has a condition which they cannot themselves which they cannot themselves through awareness overcome?
Just a minute, just lady one. Would you mind repeating? Sorry, this.
There seems to be in the world an increasing rise in mental illness, anxieties, and what treatment would you advocate?
There is an increasing sense of mental illness, imbalance. What should one do about it? Now, which of these shall we discuss?
Yeah.
The first. Pardon? Any of them.
One will answer all of them.
Could we take one that would cover all the others? Pardon?
The first one.
The last one and the first.
If you answer one,
The first one was, what was it?
analysis.
Oh yeah. And what is the difference between analysis and examination of one's reactions, one's immediate reactions, and yet, in spite of that examination, these reactions continue? and the other is I'm full of fears, deep-rooted uncertainties. How am I to be completely free of them? Right? Shall we discuss these two?
Yes.
Really? All right? It's a lovely morning. I don't know why we are doing this, but it doesn't matter. You know, there are a great many theories, and I was listening to one of them on the television last night for a few minutes, about human behavior. And how to change it. There are hundreds of explanations for the cause of this human behavior, the misery and all the rest of it, and various theories what to do about them. Analysis implies, doesn't it, a division between the observer and the thing to be analyzed, right? Let's be clear on that point. When I analyze myself and my reactions or observe my behavior, there is the act and the actor, right? There is a division between the two, generally. And this division not only creates conflict between the thing what is and what should be, which is introduced by the observer. Please, this is not a talk by me, we are discussing. I am angry or jealous or frightened. And I want to get rid of that fear, that jealousy. I want to overcome it. So when I observe this whole phenomenon, I see there is fear and the man and the entity who is separate from that fear, who says, I must get rid of that fear. Right? Then he begins to analyze that fear, tries to find out the cause of that fear, try to control it, discipline, the whole conflict that goes on. Is there this separation at all? Please, we must discuss this before we answer your question. So we are answering your question. Is there this division between the observer and the thing he calls anxiety, fear, guilt, and so on?
I would say there is at that point of awareness.
No, just observe it in oneself, sir. Is there such division? There is, isn't there? Why?
If there is a division, there must also be a unity.
What?
If there is a division, there must also be a unity.
No. Let us see actually what takes place. I am angry or jealous or frightened, and I want to get rid of it. No? Let's be simple about this.
When I am afraid, the fear seems to be me.
Wait. At the moment of actual fear, there is no division. Just hold on to it. Watch it. At the moment of actual reaction, there is no division. A few minutes later or a second later, the division takes place. Doesn't it? We are talking of that division, not at the moment of actual reaction of fear or jealousy, whatever it is. Right? Is there such a division? No, this is very important because you can't just say there isn't. Then if there is no division between the what is and what should be, the observer and the observed, then what will you do? Answers. Huh?
Be afraid.
No, madam. Let's examine it for the moment, please. I experience at this moment what? Fear. At the moment of, at this actual moment, there is no observer or division between fear and myself. There is only fear. Huh?
As soon as you become aware of it.
That then begins moving away from that actual moment of fear, then the division takes place. Now, why does this division take place?
Is it because fear, if you're wholly aware, you'd know?
No, don't say if. Then you're...
Well, once you are aware...
No, not... Please stick to what actually goes on.
We just like the feeling.
Beg your pardon?
We don't like the feeling.
Who is it? We don't like it.
The observer, the I.
No, therefore you must go into this little more slowly, please. At the moment of actual experiencing of any human reaction, at that moment there is no division. That's a fact. A second or a minute later, the division takes place. First of all, why?
But first it's the emotions, and then the mind takes over, starts working.
Then the mind, why does this do it?
Identification.
Huh?
Identification.
Just observe it in oneself, observe it in yourself before you answer it. I am angry. At the moment of anger, there is no division. A second or so later, there is division. Why does this division take place? Huh?
Resistance.
What?
Resistance?
Because there is interference of image.
I don't know. What?
Because the observer establishes what should be.
The observer, he says, establishes what should be. Why does this go on? You understand? At the moment I see a sunset, very beautiful, there is no sense of remembering it. A moment later, I want to remember it, store it up, and tomorrow I want to repeat it. I want to have the same experience. Why does this take place? Go.
Because there is interference of a nature or a memory.
Beg your pardon?
Because there is interference of a nature or a memory.
There is because the experience leaves a mark on the brain as experience, and therefore there is memory of it, and this memory, you are saying, divides.
Two aspects to it. One is that the nature of the brain itself is not to have resist.
Sir, how do you find out the truth of the matter? Not your opinion, my opinion, or the expert's opinion. How do you find the truth of this thing?
Paying attention.
I want to find the truth of it, not my opinion or your opinion, somebody else's conclusion. I want to know the actual truth of it. How do I do that?
Is the experience of one?
Huh?
Is the experience of one the same as the experience of another?
Is the experience of one is the same as the experience of another? We're not discussing that, sir, please.
What I mean is that when you say, can we find the truth, you do not want opinion. Therefore, we must see exactly what happens. But if I say to you in words, what I see, exactly what happens, do you see that? Can I describe to you exactly what I see?
No, obviously not.
But I see when something happens, when I'm afraid, when the fear is there, at the instant I'm afraid, there is just the fear.
Yes.
Then an instant after, that fear is memory. Now the fear, the memory of the fear.
Is it the memory of fear that divides?
But there is a difference between the memory of the fear and the fear itself.
Therefore, fear itself is different from the memory of that fear. Does the division take place because of memory? You see, now wait, watch it. Somebody says something, and you follow. There are 10 different conclusions, opinions, and expressions. Now, what is one to do? Which is the right thing in this? Your opinion or my opinion? Your experience or my experience? How do we find out the truth of any matter? Comment, madame? Le désir, she says, we desire to experience again the old experience. You're not meeting my point.
By self-examination? By trying to understand the living? By ourselves. By observing ourselves. But you can't, when you're scared, you just can't observe yourself.
Now look, sir. At the moment of fear, there is no division. That's clear. Just a minute, madam, just a minute. At the moment of actually experiencing anything, there is no division. A second later, division takes place. I want to find out why. Wait. I want to find out why. Now, how do I find out?
I have to be watching all the time.
Which means what? I want to find out the truth which is irrevocable. You understand? Which will be truth. How do I find that out? About why this division takes place. How do I find out?
You can't, you just might, it might just happen.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't see how you can do anything to find out.
I'll show it to you in a minute, sir. You see, you're all You're all so full of opinions, conclusions, judgments. You haven't time even to say, look.
I think you'd have to be a realized man. You'd have to be a realized man.
Beg pardon?
You'd have to be a realized man before you'd know for sure.
I don't know anything about realized man, but I mean, I want to be quite clear why this division exists. The question was at the beginning, analysis is one thing, and immediate perception of one's reaction is another. Analysis does not necessarily dissolve the pain, the anxiety, and immediate perception appears to, for the moment at least, to dissolve it. But it again recurs, right? That was the question we are discussing. We are saying, what do we mean by analysis? Let's go back to it again. What do we mean by analysis? Analysis implies examination, doesn't it? Investigation. In that investigation, there is the examiner and the examined, right? No? And I say, why does this division take place? Or is it because of our usual habit of dividing everything? Big one, sir? Between ourselves?
And experiences or other things. What we think about other things. We tend to divide. As soon as after the experience has been first experience, we tend to start dividing.
Is it my conditioning that brings about this division? Because all my life I have been trained that I must conquer, control, suppress, discipline. I am different from the body is different from the spirit is different from, divide, fragmented. Is that one of the reasons why there is this division?
No, because the conditioning must have come from somewhere in the first place.
My grandmothers did it. My great-grand, past generations have done this. And I've been brought up in that culture. And I have said, control.
When did it start?
Yeah, why is the conditioning there in the first place?
Because that's the only way they could think of. There is no other way.
So I think the conditioning could be apparently artificial division between feeling and so on.
So we are examining this thing, please. Is it my conditioning that brings about this division? I divide whole of my life, the artist, the scientist, the bureaucrat, the professional, the politician, the bank. You follow? My whole life is fragmented. No? 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 Sir, let's leave the word conditioning. My whole life is fragmented, right?
The whole world is fragmented.
Huh?
The whole world is fragmented.
I mean, world is me. I am the world. So, there is this fragmentation, right? And that's one of the reasons why I have divided myself from my reaction, no?
Is it that
It might happen the other way around, mightn't it?
What?
It might have been originally all experiences and try and think about them afterwards. So that's how it happened.
Beg your pardon?
Couldn't it have happened the other way
Which is the other way around?
How do you know which came first?
The egg or the chicken? Oh, well, then we're lost.
Yeah, I think we are.
Well, is it not that very fragmentation of one's life which has created thought?
Just go slowly. Just see what takes place. Go slow, madam. Sorry, we must go slowly. Your life and one's life is fragmented. That's a fact. And at the moment of experience, all fragmentation ceases. Right? At the moment you call me a fool, there is no fragmentation. A second later begins. Right? So my question is, how is the mind to observe the whole phenomenon of existence without fragmentation? Huh?
You are saying it does.
Huh?
You are saying it does. It does. We see that it does.
Beg your pardon?
All the time. The mind observes when it perceives. At the moment it perceives, there is no fragmentation.
Yes, sir, I said that.
Always.
I had said that.
It's when we don't perceive that there is
Therefore, sir, what will you do?
The experience has to be lived at that moment without the 3-second interfering with it.
How am I to live at that and continue every experience without fragmentation? You don't.
That means just why, it's bad to be fragmented.
Huh?
I mean, why is it so bad to be fragmented?
I don't say it's bad or good. The fact is, one is fragmented. Right? And how is one to be non-fragmented? That is the real question. Isn't it? Beg your pardon? I can't hear.
Wouldn't it be better to think from the whole and not be isolated?
Sir, how am I to think from the whole? What does whole mean? You see, you're just...
I think if you're experiencing all the time, you could be an active.
What?
You couldn't do things. If you're experiencing all the time, you couldn't put up a tent.
Sir, we are not talking experiencing all the time. We are asking...
We're doing now with you exactly what we do with ourselves when we try to analyze the problem. We are utterly fragmented here. I'm surprised that we can't see the irony of this. 1,001 images and points of view about experience.
Now, if you... Sir, look, I see in the world, and the world is myself, and myself is world, that's a fact. I see fragmentation everywhere. Nationalities, the Muslim, the Hindu, the Christian, the Buddhist, you follow, fragmented. The artist, the writer, the thinker, the philosopher, the scientist, division after division, fragmentation. And as my life is fragmented, and I look at everything from that point of view, right? I look at fear, not at the moment I experience it, but later, that I must get rid of it, that I must conquer it. I must develop courage, which is another fragmentation, right? No?
Surely fear only is alerted when you're stimulated by something which causes fear.
Be fun?
We're only made fearful when somebody wants to...
Yes, we said that.
But when the stimulus is stopped... then
But fear, we have other forms of fear. Oh, Lord.
fragmented in time.
Yes, sir, that's the whole problem is that.
I don't think you say we're only unity when we have some critical experience, but I would feel at any instant in time my brain is a unity, and any fragmentation, if we wish to use that word, is between my state of mind now and next second and next second.
Yes, sir, that I know this. All that's implied in fragmentation.
At any one time.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
I'm a unity.
So I'm asking, how is it possible not to look at life non-fragmentarily? Oh, Lord, you're all...
Is not the practical problem we all have to face how to join our many mental states from the moment of birth to the moment of death into a harmonious...
That's what I'm saying, exactly the same thing, sir. How am I to live harmoniously? And harmony means non-division between the mind, the heart and the body, if you can for the moment put it that way, a complete sense of harmony in which there is no division, no breaking up, no fragmentation, no conflict. How is that possible?
You need a lot of luck.
No. Beg pardon?
To do with consenting to what each moment brings, an act of consent, yielding.
I can do nothing through thinking. This can be without a need. I can be no fragment.
You're not answering my question at all.
So it seems that people don't care because everybody's quite happy to be fragmented and they continue.
All right, be that.
Unless one sees the necessity of change, one is just going to talk about it endlessly.
I agree, sir. I quite agree.
I need a lot of energy to see that it's desperately urgent to change, and then I'll stop thinking.
Look, sir, there is a war going on between Israel and the Arabs. That's the result of fragmentation, isn't it? And if you want to live in a world that is so destructive and peacefully, how are you to do it? You must be non-fragmented, mustn't you? You must neither be an Israelite or an Arab, Hindu or a Muslim, right? Or you? No, why not? When you see the importance of living peacefully, why do you accept fragmentation like that? Which leads to war.
Why should one be fragmented?
But you, oh Lord, oh, you don't even listen.
Because we still separate ourselves from that fragmentation. Further fragmentation occurs.
That's right, sir. How?
That fragmentation,
Now,
like we saw the
I agree, sir. These are all the various reasons. But I want to find out how to live a life in which there is no fragmentation and therefore no conflict, and therefore live a life completely harmonious and peaceful. How am I to do it?
If you eat a lot of cereals, it helps a lot.
You are really not interested in it, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Huh?
No, he can't tell us how.
What?
You can't tell us how, can you?
Wait a minute, sir. Don't you see you have opinions already?
So it seems easy and clear to see that I mustn't have nationality and all these very broad outward fragmentation. But inwardly...
I'm coming to that, sir. Outwardly we see the fragmentations and what they do in the world. And there is also inward fragmentation. We are broken up inside. How is it all this to end?
By not having images of
Huh?
By not having images of oneself.
By
By not having any images.
by not having any images. Are you telling me theoretically, have you no images? You have no images.
Yes, I have.
Therefore, why talk about it? Get rid of it and then you can tell me what to do. My Lord.
But when you're afraid, you automatically fragment with thought. But fear in the first place is a fragmentation.
See. So, do listen for a few minutes, would you? There is outward fragmentation as nationalities, scientists, housekeeping, fragmentation outwardly. And there is fragmentation of one is divided in oneself, inwardly and outwardly. And inwardly, there is the thinker and the thought, the experience and the future experiencer. There is a division all the time. And I see such a division, both outwardly and inwardly, creates great disharmony. Right? And that disharmony prevents one from seeing things very clearly, living a very clear, simple, direct life. Now, how am I to be free of all these fragments, outwardly and inwardly? Is it at all possible? And if it is not possible, then let's give it up. If it is possible, let's find out.
Is there something in acceptance? Because when I have an experience which I accept, and when I have an experience which I reject, the accepted one doesn't seem to be so dividing as the one that I reject.
Why should you accept any experience or reject any What?
Because it's there.
No, acceptance means holding and the other means resistance. So you are resisting anything which you don't like and keeping those which you like. And which means a division. Right? That's a supposition. If you don't hold on to anything, then you're reborn every minute. But I do hold on to my... You don't, please, do give little attention to what is being said. Don't carry on with your own thoughts, with your own ideas, your own conclusions. You're here to listen to somebody, aren't you? Not only to me, to each other, to listen. But you don't. You are carrying on with your own ideas. There is fragmentation, both outwardly and inwardly. This division. Division invariably creates conflict. And I want to live a life that is completely without conflict, which is to live a life of a life of non-violence. Now, how am I to...
Conflict is essential to the world.
What?
Conflict is essential to the world.
You say that. Conflict is essential to the world. Then fight.
Conflict can be harmonious. There's conflict on the ceiling of the room.
No, please. I am talking of conflict inwardly, not on the roof. That is...
So the outside is the same as the
No,
inside.
wait a minute, madam. The wars, not the shadow on the canvas. Wars, the hatred between people, the quarrels between husband and wife, the brutality. No?
It's only a matter of degree. It's the same thing.
What?
It's just a matter of degree. It's the same thing.
We're talking about your conflict. Why don't you listen?
I want to find out how to live a life of harmony. How do you do this? please tell me, how do you set about live a life of harmony? In which the division as the me and the not me, we and they, come to an end.
First of all, we've got to accept that there is such a thing as harmony.
What?
First of all, we have to accept that there is such a thing as
Why should I accept that there is such a thing as harmony? All that I know is that we are in discord. I want to find out a way of ending that discord.
Why is it
What?
perhaps in examining the causes of the discord?
All right, I've examined it. I am brought up as a Hindu for the last 50 years, and you are brought up as a Muslim. All right, if you are a Hindu, I'll be a Muslim. I've been brought up as a Muslim for 50 years, and you've been brought up as a Hindu for 50 years. And the cause is my conditioning.
Why are there Hindus and Muslims? Why are there two things?
My darling sir,
Yeah, exactly. But it's not that which caused it, something caused that.
what causes that? A group of people believed that Muhammad was the only prophet. And the people around him made a propaganda and converted others with sword, war, and all the rest of it. And there were at the beginning a group of Hindu people who said we are all Hindus, different from it. That it is. My Lord, need we go into all these obvious reasons? You see, we have nearly spent 20, 30 minutes discussing the most obvious thing.
If we can see the discord and not try to do something about it.
Now, how do you, sir? That's the whole point. Beg pardon, sir?
We don't know how to do it.
Therefore, if you say, I really don't know what to do, then we can discuss. But if you say, yes, what is the reason why we are divided, let's go into what is the cause. You follow? If you really say, I really don't know how to live a life totally harmonious, then we have a point of contact. Beg pardon?
Examine what made you angry.
Oh my Lord.
As you said yesterday, by total attention, we may not have
Sir.
be divided, and not have image at all. By total attention.
Look, sir. There is.
Possible, sir, to experience this fragmentation more and more deeply without making any attempt to alter it. And would that be useful?
Would it be useful if you investigated the fragmentation more and more deeply? Would that bring about non-fragmentation?
No, it wouldn't.
Surely we must concentrate only on fragmentation of the mind. We are born of different colours and in different parts of the world for a start, and will continue to be so born. That is irrevocable. So let's concentrate on the mind. That possibly is a fruitful line.
That's what we are doing.
Even if we get rid of Hindus and
Communists, Catholics and Irish and non-Irish. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And, we still have disagreements on that subject. We're still going to have Africans and Europeans and white men and so on.
Well, but sir, that is not what we are talking about. Look, I have a problem. My problem is, I come to you all and say, look, I want to live a life of deep harmony, in which I have no conflict, but I have good relationship with people, in which there is no quarrels, battles, and anxiety. I want to live a completely harmonious life. Now wait a minute, don't answer me. I come to you because I'm very serious. I want to live that way. I'll give up everything to live that way, including my house, my property, my gods. I want to live that way. I come to you. What's your answer?
I don't know.
Right. You don't know, do you? Therefore, let's find out how to do it. You don't know and I don't know. Right? Then let's find out how from this, starting from not knowing, let's find out, shall we? Not knowing, and you mean not knowing. Don't invent afterwards this, that, you follow? You really don't know. If you knew it, you would live in it, wouldn't you? So since you don't know it, let us start from not knowing. Right? Right? Now, if you don't know, you are living harmoniously. Now, do please pay attention to what I'm saying, for God's sake. If you say, really don't know what to do, then what will you do? Oh, do listen, sir, please listen. If you really don't know, then you will assert nothing, will you? You will say, I will accept, I won't accept, I'll resist, I won't resist. What is the cause of, you follow? You say, I really don't know. So your mind then is in a state of non-fragmentation, isn't it? No? When you actually say, I don't know, can you ever say, I don't know?
Most of us cannot say it.
That's all I'm saying, sir.
Fear of insecurity.
So you are frightened of not knowing, right? You want to live a harmonious life, you may not. I want to live a harmonious life, and I never say to myself, I don't know how to do it. I say, I must live a harmonious life. This is what I must do. This is what must not. You follow? I come to answer it through my conclusions. Therefore, that's not an answer. Right? Please. So can I honestly say to myself, I really don't know how to live a harmonious life. Then from not knowing, I'm going to find out. You follow? I'm going to find out. Not come with a conclusion to find out. Can we move from there? At least with some of you who say, I really don't know. I'm dreadfully serious, honest when I say, I really don't know. Which means I have no conclusions, I have no images, no concepts. I really don't know. Can some of you say that? If you do, then let's begin. At last.
Il semble qu'il faille abandonner le je veux.
C'est ça, madame.
Et après, être complètement réceptif, mais à 100% à quelque chose qu'on ne connaît pas, mais qui est comme ce qu'on respire. Et puis après, bah,
Vous avez raison. Bien, allez, continuons. Now, I don't know. You know, when I say I don't know, what do I, please go slowly with me, have patience with me. What do I mean when I say I don't know? Is that state of mind, when I say I don't know, is it waiting to be informed? Please listen to this carefully. Is it waiting to be informed? Is it waiting to be told? Or is it waiting to find knowledge which will then bring about a harmonious life? You follow? I must answer that question when I say I don't know. Am I waiting for an answer when I say I don't know?
Surely, if one maintains a state of receptivity all the time...
I don't know. We are talking about not knowing.
You can never know.
Madam, no, please stick to one word. Otherwise, receptivity means who is receiving. Just stick to what we generally have agreed to, which is, I don't know. You don't know. Now, what does that mean, not knowing? Does it mean that the mind is waiting to be told, expecting an answer, looking to somebody to say, this is the right? Or it is, nobody can say to it, this is right, this is wrong. It doesn't know, which is your mind.
So if I really don't know, if somebody tells me, then I still won't know, because...
That's the whole point. So, now when you say I don't know, what takes place? Go slowly. What takes place within the mind? Don't... Pardon? Comment? No, the mind is quite still. No, what takes place when I say I'm not looking for an answer, I'm not expecting a thing. What goes on in the mind, sir? Watch it. You have discarded whatever you have when you say I don't know.
So when I say I don't know, I find ideas rushing in to fill that...
Therefore which means what?
Well, it seems to be the habit of conditioning trying to exert itself again. And I realize that is what it's trying to know, so I still don't know. And the process seems to...
So your mind can never say I don't know, because you're all full of ideas. Right?
Usually says I don't know, but perhaps.
Hmm?
Usually says I don't know, but perhaps.
Yes, I don't know, but perhaps I do know a little bit. You're all playing games.
I think that when your mind says, I don't know, and you're not expecting an answer, at that point you're accepting that state of not knowing. And that's all it is, just acceptance.
It's one of the most difficult things to say, I don't know. If you are really a great scientist, you examine everything for the first time as though you didn't know. Therefore you begin to discover. You follow? But if you come with saying, I know a little bit, I don't know, you follow? Then you could discover nothing. Can you say, I really don't know how to live a life that's harmonious? That means you become extraordinarily humble, don't you? Huh? No? You don't know any of this. Therefore, a mind that does not know is inquiring into what is harmony. Right? So, what takes place in the mind? That is completely not knowing. You can't. I can go on. You see, by myself I go on in my room with all these questions and find out. But with you, we don't travel together. How am I to help you to travel together? Because you're full of ideas, aren't you?
When I say I don't know, I wonder. I wonder.
What?
When I say I don't know, I wonder.
Why should you wonder? Well, what is that wonder?
Asking to know, I suppose.
Which is that just it? Can you stay and say, I really don't know, and stay there?
No. This.
Huh?
Just accept this.
Come on, madam.
Getting set to this.
Yes.
Not knowing is the same but total attention.
No, sir, don't translate into something else. Keep to one series of words. We said, what does it mean to know? First of all, what does it mean to know? I know you. Wait, sir, look, listen. Kali, how impatient you people are. I say I know you. What does that mean? The word to know, what does it mean? I know you because I met you yesterday. There is the recollection of meeting you and your name, your face that are recorded. I know. I know my wife. What does that mean? No. Can I know anybody? No, you don't even. So I can never say I know somebody. But we do. I know my wife.
Est-ce que ce n'est pas avoir la même nature que la personne? Être donc dans le un déjà. Si on connaît la connaturalisation, enfin nature, une même nature.
Oui, madame, but
You know your wife because your wife is what you know to you.
That's analysis again.
No. I'm not, don't listen to what I. When I see the danger of that word, I know. Can I know my wife? I've slept with her, I've had children, sex, irritation, all the rest of it. And the image of her remains. And I say I know her, I mean by that I know the image about her, which I have. I don't know her. Right? So I see what takes place when how dangerous that word is to know. The word I know. In the meantime, she might have changed, but I have this image of her that remains static, fixed. So knowing, when I say I know, it is the past, right? So can my mind, when it says I don't know, be free of the past?
So I can come to that point where I realize that, and then the past tries to come in again.
Wait, first see what it means, sir. When I say I know, knowledge implies knowledge is the past. And I must have knowledge. Why? To go from here to the house. to talk, there must be knowledge. And yet I see the danger of knowledge. Right? Knowledge is the past. Knowledge is the past. And with that, I say, can my mind ever be free of the past? Which means the past image, past impressions, past memories, past hurts, you follow, conclusions, ideas, the whole of that. It's only then I can say I don't know. I don't know if...
I don't know me either.
Pardon me.
I don't know me. I don't know other people, and I don't even know me.
What do you mean you don't know other people?
In the sense that you were speaking of an image, and I probably don't even know me without an image. So I have to say again, I don't know.
When you say I don't know, does it mean that you are free from knowing as the past? So, sir, look, our difficulty is that we live in the past, all our activities spring from the past, and we project the past into the future, into the present. No? This is so obvious. Now, that is part of our fragmentation. So can I ever say that I don't know? And to say it honestly is to find the beauty of not knowing. You understand? Do you know what love is?
No.
Huh?
I don't know.
Wait. Do you know what love is? Vous avez compris, mesdames? Do you know what love is? Why are you silent?
Only from past experience.
No. Don't you say to your friend or to your husband, wife, girl, boy, I love you? Don't you? No? Oh my gosh, you're all so quiet.
It seems to me that when I'm in a state of not knowing,
Madam, I'm asking you a question.
then I love. When I don't know, I love.
When you don't know, but do you know what it means not to know?
I think so, but I don't know if I know.
Do you believe in God? How silent, you see. When you touch the real things, you become quiet. Because you are frightened. So I want to find out, the mind says, what is love? They talk about it so much. Love God, love humanity. I love my wife. I love my country. You follow? What does it mean? I want to find out. Don't you? You don't. To find out, I must have energy, mustn't I?
Yeah.
So how do I have that energy? by not asserting or introducing something which I am familiar with. Love, they say, is love God, love is sex, love is happiness, love is beauty, love is... If all those are distractions, wastage of energy, isn't it? Can I put all that aside? I want to find out if there is such thing as God. I don't know. Millions of people, the propagandists, the priests, the books, the everyday politician and all the muckrake, everybody talks about God. Except perhaps the communists, but they have their own gods. I want to find out. How do I find out? I'm burning with it, not just sitting there, I want to find out. You understand? I want to find out if there is something real. And for that I must have tremendous energy. So I must first gather this energy. So I must find out how I waste energy. You follow? Obviously I waste energy when I believe in God. Right? Or when I don't believe in God, it's a wastage of energy. Right? To believe or not to believe. Or to say, yes, there is God. Look at nature. Without God, they would follow all that tummy rot. I want to find out. Therefore, to find out, there must be freedom of energy. And that's why I say, I don't know. And when I say I don't know, that gives you tremendous energy. I don't know what God is. I'm not an atheist. I don't believe or disbelieve. I don't know. That means is my mind free of fear. You follow? Because when I say I don't know, there's tremendous sense of uncertainty. Nothing you can rely on. God was a marvelous refuge in which I took shelter. When I say there isn't, I don't know, I refuse that shelter. You following? Do you? So I have no savior, no guru, no teacher. I must find out.
Sir, twice in my life I have run into two people who had had a full set of electric shock treatments, and their memories were completely knocked out. And they had no memories at all. So that when somebody turned to be helpful and said, would you like to have lunch now, or 2 hours later, or what would you like for lunch? They didn't know,
Yes.
because they had nothing in the past to
I know.
But in both the cases, there was a tremendous sense of anxiety.
But, madam, we're not talking that. Sorry, you've just... We've been through that. I consciously see the falseness of taking a refuge in idea, right, in an image. I see that. Not, I am sane, rational, not neurotic. No, I've had no mental shocks, electric shocks, nothing. I see this. Therefore, I'm quite balanced. And when I say I want to find out, I must put aside all the man's inventions about God. Right? Will you do it? That means you must be in a state where you have no sense of security. Physically, yes, we must have it. You understand?
But we don't have it physically.
We must have it. To have it, we must get rid of these nationalities, divisions, you follow, wars. No?
But if I get rid of these in myself, and then I begin to question my very existence in a society which is contributing to it, I don't have that security anymore. I can't be in that society.
Why do you say that? You may, sir, the moment you reject security, you will do something. You don't say, I must leave this society, I must form a different kind of commune and so on and so on. You will do it. No, sir, I'm talking.
Because everything seems to be fraught with all these.
So you say, so what happens, sir? Look, sir, I want to find out what God is. Just, I'm taking that God is same as love or beauty. If you are interested in beauty, I want to find out what beauty is. Not in the building, not in an architectural expression, not in some imaginative idea of space, or in a painting, or in a statue, or in a woman, or man. I want to find out what beauty is. How do I... To find out what beauty is, there must be passion, mustn't there? Huh? Oh, you people. I must be passionate to find out, mustn't I?
Isn't that the answer to physical security? That passion to find out is the only physical security.
Obviously.
There is really no physical security.
Somehow, you know, talk about myself, I never sought security, and I'm here, still.
In order to find out, sir, I must want terribly.
Of course, sir. Otherwise, what kind of life does one lead? A shoddy bourgeois life?
Sir, could you clear up something? I don't understand how you would want to find out beauty if you really don't know. I mean, I really, I don't understand how you would want to find out what love is or what beauty
Don't
is.
you want to find out? Or you just live like a, like a leaf, driven and accepting what the propagandists say? Don't you really want to find out how to end fear?
Is not the life of a leaf very fearless?
So, that was only simile. I understand, of course, it is.
But, I mean, when the end of a leaf comes, it gets burned or some other fate, the leaf has not looked ahead to this event,
But
not had any fear about
no,
it.
but we have thought. We have minds. I don't want to die. I want to live. My living is I must have security, physical, psychological, environmental, I must have security. That's one of my deep demands, that I must have security in order to live. I see the security physically is essential. I must have 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day. I must have shelter. And not only I, but everybody in the world. And that's not possible if you are an Englishman and I am a blasted Indian. When we divide the world, that's not possible.
But although we wish to have no fear and stay alive, we all know we are going to die.
But therefore, that's a different question. How to understand what death is? That's a different question. And if you say, no, I want to find out what it means to die, You must have passion to find out.
But we all know already, more or less.
Oh, no, do you?
We know enough to govern our daily lives by it.
You are frightened by it.
Certainly.
Therefore, to find out, I said, sir, to find out about God, love, if there is such thing as security, total security, to find out what death is, I must have energy. You follow, sir? I must have passion. I must have immense intensity. I can't just say, well, I sit back and say, well, I'll find out and go on with my smoking and drinking and enjoying my shoddy little life.
But most people do just that. The only people I know who are not afraid of death, or shall we say, if there's any trend that I've noticed, is that young people are more afraid of death and older people tend to be less afraid.
Because they're a little bit older. That's all. No, sir, no, please.
Or more understanding.
Or they're bored with life.
Sir, it seems that we've entered the difference between two questions. Seek and you shall find, and the question do not seek and you shall find.
So, the word seek implies what? When you find it, how do you know you have found it? Huh? I've lost you. And I lost you, I can find you. And I look for you. But then I recognize you because I met you before. In my search for truth, for God, for beauty, for love and for the understanding of death, in the search for it, how do I know that I'll find it? And when I do find it, is it the truth? No, sir, this too. So I have to begin by saying, do I really want to find out? Or is it just a game I'm playing with myself? Because I'm bored with life, with my wife, children, going to the office, I'm bored. Therefore, I like to have some other thing. So my question is, I want to end fear. Every form of fear, physical fear as well as psychological fears. I want to end them. Because I see freedom can never exist where there is fear. That's obvious. And so I have to investigate, I must find out, give my life to find out, not just a couple of hours, to find out if I can live without fear. Fear physically as well as psychologically. Physically, I know what to do. Right? I've had pain, I've had disease, I've had various forms of ailments. I haven't had it, but and I'm afraid. What is that fear? I've had pain. A month ago. And that's left a mark on my mind. Memory. And the memory says, for God's sake, be careful, don't have that pain again. Right? No? So fear begins when it says, I mustn't have it again. Right? No. So thought creates the future fear. No? So I see, my concern then is not fear at all, but thought, to understand the whole structure of thinking. Why does thought sustain the pain which happened a month ago now? Why does it carry on? Is it possible when I had the pain a month ago, say finished? I won't even think about it, finished. Because thinking about it is going to create fear of tomorrow. No? Can I do it, sir? The same thing with pleasure. No? Which is much more difficult. So I have to go into this question of thought. So can thought see that when there is pain, it does the right thing, go to the doctor, drug, whatever it is, not drugs, not the LSD and marijuana and all the rest of that business, but heal itself. Fasting, dieting, dozen things you can do. And thought sees to it that it does things properly and end it there and not carry it over the next day. So can the mind, physically I understand, can the mind be free of fear, of tomorrow, of the past, of death? So to find out, there must be freedom. Freedom means passion, fire, intensity, urgency. And that's why analysis destroys urgency. Right? Urgency means revolution, not physical revolution. Throwing a bomb, that's too stupid. But when you have urgency, then there is immediate action. Isn't that enough for this moment? Is it? We meet Thursday, isn't it?